So when I saw this photograph, it immediately, brought me back to the investigation that was underway in 2022 that we've spoken about on your show and has been played out ad nauseum, both by the police department, by the city inspector general, by the federal monitor, and the subject of an extensive 3-day hearing in federal court. And then the new superintendent acknowledged that there were going to be changes in policies and protocols, and all of that was done. But apparently everyone got the message except for Officer Vappie and Mayor Cantrell, because despite everything that have occurred since 2022, when the initial investigation, it went beyond just why did Officer Vappie why was he the only member of the executive protection team to be permitted into her apartment? But also part of that investigation was the Officer Vappie eating meals with the mayor when he was supposed to be providing executive protection. That was part of the allegations against him, not just by the public, but also by members of the executive protection team in 2022.
Right.
So members of the executive protection team gave statements to PIB commenting how they thought that it was unprofessional and inappropriate for Officer Vappie to be seated at the same table as the mayor when he's supposed to be protecting her, because his back is to a portion of the restaurant and he's not seeing what may be threats that are emerging from behind his back.
Yep.
So that's fundamental to executive protection, that you don't sit at the table. In fact, we know all of that because one of the executive protection team members that gave a statement to PIB, and that statement was recorded, it was shared with the city attorney's office, and the city attorney inadvertently released that tape as well as all the other statements that were made to the public. And that's been publicized. So we know that a member of the executive protection team in December of 2022 gave a recorded statement recounting that he had confronted Officer Vappie in 2022 about the impropriety of him seated at the same table as the mayor during a meal, when he should be, like all the other protection team members, situated separate and apart from the mayor so that they could have a full field of vision of everything that was happening in the restaurant. And Officer Vappie, according to this statement, acknowledged to that executive team member that he was right and that he saw the point that was being made. And then all of the rules and regulations are supposedly revised after Superintendent Kirkpatrick was appointed.
Yep.
And what we're seeing is that apparently, despite everything that was changed, what wasn't changed was that even though Officer Vappie was found to have violated some departmental rules and regulations and was verbally sanctioned for that, he still was returned to the executive protection unit to continue to provide protection to the mayor. And as you pointed out, I don't care if the mayor and Officer Vappie are involved in a social relationship or not. But if he's a member of that unit, the rules and regulations of the police department apply to him.
Yep.
And if he's not following those rules, then he needs to be treated like any other officer. And keep in mind that I pointed out that the prior investigation that was conducted by PIB was also criticized by not just the state and city inspector general, but also the federal monitor.
Yep.
That pointed out that that investigation was handled differently than other investigations, that the federal monitor was previously given permission, and the police department's internal affairs or public integrity division had shared their investigative plans with the federal monitor before the investigation would start, but that wasn't the case with the Vappie investigation in 2022. And they persisted, the federal monitor, pointing out that your pre-investigative plan didn't include requesting an interview with the mayor, didn't include requesting an interview with the then superintendent of police, Sean Ferguson, and didn't include interviews with any of the supervisors in the chain of command between the executive protection unit and the superintendent. So only after the federal monitor made those points did the Public Integrity Division include in their plan a request to speak to the mayor, which she refused. They also, Public Integrity requested to take a statement from the then superintendent, who by the time that request was made had retired. So he elected not to give a statement.
Wow.
And apparently they never did speak to any of the supervisors involved in this case. So all of that was the subject of a 3-day hearing in federal court earlier this year. And the federal judge, in announcing her ruling, made it clear that there were violations of consent decree protocols with respect to the way that the original Officer Vappie investigation was handled, and was fully within her power to sanction the city for violating the consent decree, but only agreed not to sanction the city because of the new leadership